Hey, good morning, family. Welcome to our new sermon series called What Are You Prepared to Do? Here, we're going to cover Daniel chapter 1 through 5. Each part will cover a different chapter. All right, so last week or the week before that, we did a sermon series on the lion's den covering Daniel. So, as you see, this is a continuation, but we're starting from the beginning of Daniel instead of just, diving into Daniel chapter 6 like what we did. We're going to cover this whole thing. Um, so again, what are you prepared to do? Starting Daniel chapter 1. Let's get started. Daniel's captivity in Babylon. In the third year of the reign of King Jehoiakim of Judah, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came to Jerusalem and laid siege to it. The Lord handed King Jehoiakim of Judah over to him, along with some of the vessels from the house of God. Nebuchadnezzar carried them to the land of Babylon, to the house of his God, and put the vessels in the treasury of his God. The king ordered Ashpenaz, his chief official, to bring some of the Israelites from the royal family and from the nobility, young men without any physical defect, good looking, suitable for instruction and all wisdom, knowledgeable, perceptive, and capable of serving in the king's palace. He was to teach them the Chaldean language and literature. The king assigned them daily provisions from the royal food and from the wine that he drank. They were to be trained for 3 years, and at the end of that time, they were to attend the king. Among them, from the Judahites, were Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. The chief official gave them names. He gave the name Belshazzar, Belshazzar to Daniel, Shadrach to Hananiah, Meshach to Mishael, and Abednego to Azariah. So, looking at the attributes that the king was looking for, um, here are some of those again: young, no physical defect. Do you take care of yourself? Good looking, suitable of instruction and all wisdom, knowledgeable, perceptive, and capable of serving. Do you fit the description? Not necessarily these descriptions, but the description of who God is looking for. Guess what? You have it in you. You have to be willing to let God do whatever it is He needs to do inside of you to prepare you for His plans for you and where He's taking you. And um, looking at a couple attributes: faithful with integrity. All right. So let's go from verse 8 through 16. Faithfulness in Babylon. All right. Faithful and integrity. Faithful and integrity. What are you prepared to do? Daniel determined that he would not defile himself with the king's food or with the wine he drank. So he asked permission from the chief official not to defile himself. God had granted Daniel kindness and compassion from the chief official. Yet he said to Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who assigned your food and drink. What if he sees your faces looking thinner than the other young men your age? You would endanger my life with the king. So Daniel said to the guard, whom the chief official had assigned to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please test your servant for 10 days. Let us be given vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then examine our appearance and the appearance of the young men who are eating the king's food, and deal with your servants based on what you see. He agreed with them about this and tested them for 10 days. At the end of 10 days, they looked better and healthier than all the young men who were eating the king's food. Interesting. So the guard continued to remove their food and the wine they were to drink and gave them vegetables. Um, so, what are you prepared to do? So so what I'm going to do, which I should explain in the beginning, I'm going to read from the Bible, and then I'm going to share with you the notes that I have written down from um, my interpretation, which basically is not my own. God speak to me, I write. God speak to me, I write. Um, so this is what I'm going to share with you. The notes that He instructed me to write, and it's for all of us. I'm not exempt from it. All right. So Daniel was determined that he would not defile himself with the king's food or with the wine he drank. All right. So I would like to go to a couple references in 1 Corinthians chapter 8. Food offered to idols. Now, about food sacrificed to idols. We know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffs up, but love builds up. If anyone thinks he knows anything, he does not yet know it as he ought to know it. But if anyone loves God, he is known by him. About eating food sacrificed to idols, then we know that an idol is nothing in the world, and that there is no God but one. For even if there are so called gods, whether in heaven or on earth, as there are many gods and many lords, yet for us there is one God, the Father. All things are from him, and we exist for him. There is one Lord, Jesus Christ. All things are through him, and we exist through him. However, not everyone has this knowledge. Some have been so used to idolatry up until now that when they eat food sacrificed to an idol, their conscience, being weak, is defiled. Food will not bring us close to God. We are not worse off if we don't eat, and we are not better if we do eat. But be careful that this right of yours and no one becomes a stumbling block to the weak. For if someone sees you, the one who has knowledge, dining in an idol's temple, won't his weak conscience be encouraged to eat food offered to idols? So the weak person, the brother or sister for whom Christ died, is ruined by your knowledge. Now, when you sin like this against brothers and sisters, and wound their weak conscience, you are sinning against Christ. Therefore, if food causes my brother or sister to fall, I will never again eat meat, so that I won't cause my brother or sister to fall. And then 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 23 to chapter 11, 1. Bear with me. I'm going somewhere with this. Warnings from Israel past. Hold on. Let me go a little further. Um, Christian liberty. Everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. Everything is permissible, but not everything builds up. No one is to seek his own good, but the good of other people. Eat everything that is sold in the meat market without raising questions for the sake of conscience, since the earth is the Lord's and all that is in it. If any of the if any of the unbelievers invite you over and you want to go, eat everything that is set before you without raising questions for the sake of conscience. But if someone says to you, "This is food from a sacrifice," do not eat it out of consideration for the one who told you and for the sake of conscience. I do not mean your own conscience, but the other person. For why is my freedom judged by another person's conscience? If I partake with thanksgiving, why am I criticized because of something for which I give thanks? So, whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do everything for the glory of God. Give no offense to Jews or Greeks or the church of God, just as I also try to please everyone in everything, not seeking my own benefit, but the benefit of many, so that they may be saved. Imitate me as I also imitate Christ. So, you are always being watched, and those who lack knowledge and who are weak minded can be led astray. Do the Be the example even when you don't think you are being watched, because those who follow behind trust you with their lives. They trust your judgment. Don't lead them astray. Seek the good of others as you are faithful to the Lord. All right. Also, because of Daniel's integrity and his faithfulness to God, he did not cause Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to stumble. Daniel was the example. All right. Faithfulness rewarded. Seven. Daniel chapter 1, 17 through 21. God gave these four young men knowledge and understanding in every kind of literature and wisdom. Daniel also understood visions and dreams of every kind. At the end of the time, the king had said to at the end of the time that the king had said to present them, the chief official presented them to Nebuchadnezzar. The king interviewed them, and among all of them, no one was found equal to Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they began to attend the king in every matter of wisdom and understanding that the king consulted them about. He found them 10 times better than all the magicians and mediums and his entire kingdom. Daniel remained there until the first year of King Cyrus. Faithfulness was just rewarded. When their faithfulness was rewarded, there was opportunity. When it's all on the line, what are you prepared to do? Will you remain faithful, trustworthy, a person of integrity, one of great character, or will you compromise your faith for the conditions that's before you? The time is coming when we must choose. What will we be prepared to do? See you guys next go around. You guys stay blessed. Peace.